Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we will be talking about flipped classrooms. But before we start, let's go ahead and look at our learning objectives. And by the end of this lecture, inshallah, the participants, I expect bi'idhnillah, to have learned how to explain the difference between the flipped classroom and a traditional classroom, to outline the major steps needed to conduct an يمشوا flipped classroom, to suggest methods to assess this flipped classroom after they are done, to create activities that can actually fit what is expected the day after the flipped classroom, and to predict the advantages and the disadvantages of using the flipped classroom system. So unlike what you think about the flipped classroom, it's not really that students are sitting upside down معلقين من السقف like الوطاويط والخفافيش. No, the concept of flipped classroom is not very new actually. It was founded by a couple of guys, a couple of high school teachers, Bergman and Sams في 2007 in Colorado. And what they did is they noticed that some students have difficulties, that students vary and in their understanding, as we all know, زي ما تعلمنا إنه students have different methods of learning, auditory, visual. Some people learn by doing things. So what they discovered that in the classroom, what happens are students are not the same. طبعا كلكم انتوا تقدروا تشهدوا على هذا الشيء. They are not the same because some students are doing very well, some students are doing very bad. But how can I level the playground and have them all the same level? So in a traditional classroom, I would be sitting in front of the board, talking, or even being active, trying to get the students to interact with me. But obviously not everybody is going to be on the same page, on the same level. And then نبعتهم to go home to do their homework. But meanwhile, some students will go and do their homework and get it done just like that, and they're all happy. While others are struggling, جالسين يشدوا في شعرهم، ما هم فاهمين، يتصلوا بأصحابهم, trying to figure it out، يجيبوا مدرسين خصوصيين. They go through a lot of problems just to figure out what is going on. Well, these students will do bad at the end of the classroom and the end of the class in general as the course. So what can we do to make it easier for them? So these two gentlemen, they discovered this method and said, you know what, let's flip the classroom. And when they did is they said, I'll give the lecture at home. So the students will take the lecture at their leisure at home. And when they come to the classroom, I'll do the homework. I'll do classroom activities. I'll do other things that I was expecting them to do at home. So, what is it? At the end of it, the teacher can be virtually in the living room or in the bedroom of the student, while the student is sitting there relaxing, just ate his pizza, is all happy, had his food, مرتاح, ما هو متضايق, ما هو نعسان, can watch the video at his leisure and the material that he needs to learn. And the next day, when they come to the classroom, instead of me lecturing as a teacher, now I'm interacting, finding answers together, working in groups. So what are the step-by-step methods to conduct a flipped classroom? First, the teacher must prepare. And the preparations, obviously, this is the most difficult part of this, but you only do it once. So the first thing, before you do anything, you have to provide material, description. What is the student is about to study? How long would this video be? What is it going to cover? Which ILOs are I expecting for you to learn? In fact, how many times should you watch this video? You should watch the video 3 times. You should watch this video مع صاحبك or in think pairs, or it's up to you. You should really take notes while you're watching this video. If you have any questions, what do you do with them? Okay, what do you do? Have any questions? Write them down. The next step of the preparation is that the instructor must actually provide materials, recorded videos, just like the one you are watching right now. In this video, it can be a PowerPoint, it could be a video material that you get from somewhere else that they have to watch and then you ask questions about. But before we begin with that video, please make sure that you provide the ILOs again, just in case the student did not see it in the beginning. You can provide it at the beginning or you can provide it at the end of the video. I provided it in the beginning because I like to خليكم على بينة. Next, keep it short. Don't drag it on for too long. Keep the videos about 15 minutes, 20 minutes max. ليش؟ دراسات says, a lot of studies have shown that students have attention span of 15 minutes or less. Students now, the next step, have to attend the lecture. What used to be attending the lecture in a classroom, now they are attending the lecture at home. They will sit in front of the computer, all excited, maybe all bored, but hopefully you will get them all excited and involved in that video by watching it. Now the student will watch the material the day or 2 days maybe before the classroom, maybe the night before, just like you are watching it now. And then the student, as I said, will have the luxury to watch it a number of times or when they are feeling good about it. Remember that Dr. Zuhair would said, Dr. Zuhair, you cannot learn when you're hungry or if you're not feeling okay. Now, next, assessment of understanding. As soon as I'm done with the video, I should really assess the student. How much did they learn and get from this video? Now, this is very important to me as an instructor because this is where I'm going to learn about which concepts did the student miss. I might put a quiz at the end of the video after I'm done. They click on a link or I provide it in Blackboard to go ahead after you watch the video, please answer this quiz. And I'll figure out what they missed. I could have it though short. You don't want to be too strong, too level, too high, high of a domain. I don't want the higher upper cognitive. Let's just keep it in a recollection area. I can ask for true false questions, short answers, etc. Another method, I can put a discussion board. Guys, did you miss anything in the section, in the video? If you missed something, please explain it to me or list it in the discussion board. Ask others to explain that part to them so that you will get a live free discussion. But meanwhile, I, the instructor, can watch and read those discussions and say, they are missing this point. I will cover it inshallah tomorrow. That assessment, however, can be done in two places. I can do it immediately, or I can do it the next day and be ready to cover the missed points. Now, finally, the jewel of flipped classrooms. We come to the active learning in the classroom. Now, instead of what I used to give the homework at home to go and solve problems, قد كده كبرها من كتاب الرياضيات, now we come and solve it together in the classroom. And now I can use many different methods. I can have students help each other. I can have the weaker students be helped by the stronger students. But you know what is most important? That I am now walking around to help who needs the help. Instead of lecturing, I can focus on those who got behind. And those who were good, who excelled, who exceeded, وخلصوا الاسايمنت بسرعة وجاوبوا الكويشن على طول, أجي أقول له, you know what? I want to pair you مع الطالب هذاك and I want you to help him. How did you do it so fast? لو سمحت, go help this other guy. This way, I empower students, but at the same time, students will feel better learning from each other. Now, people might ask me, are you serious? 15 minutes lecture? مجنون انت؟ انا عندي محاضرة يا دوب اخلص فيها ساعتين يا دوب اخلص فيها الماتيريال. True, but I'm not talking about putting the whole material in 2 hours. I am just saying break it down. Break that 1 hour lecture into smaller sections and smaller cycles, where each cycle is about 15 to 20 minutes long, followed by an assessment. This way the talib can go ahead, watch 15-20 minutes, take an assessment. يقوم يروح يشرب شاهي، يروح يصلي في المسجد، يرجع refreshed. Watch the next cycle and the next cycle and the next cycle and the next cycle. أنا كملت ساعة. This is really good because this will help the students learning one concept at a time. You can انتوا فاهمين شغلكم can تجزئوا learning outcomes in such a way that they complement each other. Also, this will be easier for you to prepare rather than listing everything all at once, just like what I'm doing right now. You can actually have it in sections. Also, it will be easier for you to assess because after each module or section, you can assess الطالب عليه. Finally, the next day, you can actually be methodical in the way you can actually assess the higher levels. Overall structure of this is like that. I've taken this example from a paper, an article, أنا مرة highly recommend إنكم تقرأوها بإذن الله. For example here, as you can see, the students will watch the first video, take a quiz, go يشربوا شاهي, come back, watch the next video, take another quiz, go online, go on a discussion board. What did you guys think of the material? Did you get that point? Did you not get that point? I can throw in there one question to entice the conversation and have them all go at it. Students love technology. They love to chat. And the next day, when we come together, no more talking about the lecture. We are talking about solving problems. And in that, while I'm solving problems, I'm going to find a couple of students who have a problem. Maybe those students actually mentioned it in the discussion board, and I'm going to go to them and I say, did you understand it? يلا خلينا اشتغل معاك live right now on the problem in front of you. We all know this Bloom's taxonomy, hierarchy of learning and education, the verbs that we all know. In a traditional classroom, usually you do the instruction, the knowledge section, the recollection section, the outlining section, a little bit of the applying maybe in the classroom. But then the troubleshooting, the creation, I want you to go ahead and design for me the layout of a small town based on what we learned in civil engineering course, or I want you to go ahead and write a program for me based on a computer language that I learned today, or I want you to go ahead and create for me a تغذية plan for a patient حق diabetes. I'm actually doing it in reverse. They learned all of that stuff at home, and now when we come together in the classroom, they're going to do all that good stuff. In the classroom, they're going to do the creation. Why is that so important? Because we are now, when they're doing the creation مع بعض, they will learn from each other. You can involve things like teamwork, group work, think pairs, and I will be standing there to correct real application and evaluation higher objectives and help it, assess it, and fix it right on the spot. Now, what do you think of the advantages of this strategy? I would usually let you think about it in the class, but I'm changing it this year. I'm going to tell you, the most important one is really empowering the student, giving them the power of owning their own knowledge. هم اللي بيتعلموا on their own. Next, يتعلموا على مهلهم. واحد بيتعلم بسرعة، واحد يتفرج الفيديو مرة واحدة وخلص، الثاني يمكن يحتاج يتفرج عليه 3 مرات 4 مرات. It's up to you. أنا أحب أتفرج في الليل، أنا بني آدم أصحصح في الليل. My brain works, I am a night owl. أشتغل في الليل. واحد يشتغل في الصباح، مرة في الصباح، والمحاضرة حقته عادة الساعة 3 جايني ميتان ما هو قادر يفهم شيء. Learn whenever you want to learn. Material دائما تحت يدك، وقت ما تبغى تتفرج عليها go right ahead. And the next day I can أشوف الطالب اللي يحتاج مساعدة أكثر وساعده one on one. With this way, I am the one who is watching the upper level cognitive skills. Meanwhile, what could be a problem with this method? والله مو كل الناس تبغى تتعلم. في طلاب يمكن يعني أنا عارف الآن في in this time of online world أولادي hate it. They want to be in the class so much. They miss school. They might not be motivated to do all this work on their own. Sometimes if I'm not very clear الطالب حيتلخبط. What am I supposed to learn from this lecture again? And في البداية just like anything new and any different something new عليكم change الطالب وانتو كمان حياخدكم وقت انكم تتعودوا على هذا السيستم. But the best part about it is instead of having that منظر قدامكم شايفينه in the classroom where nobody's paying attention and you just standing and by the board saying gir. Hopefully people are going to be all active enjoying the classroom while you're walking around them to see who needs help. Finally, I highly recommend this paper. If you want to look at it, just Google the flipped classroom by University of Waterloo. You'll have a paper that's about 23 pages long and it will have everything that you need in it. Thank you so much for listening and I will see you tomorrow.